From constraints in job transitions is the topic of today's conversation. Let's have a quick recap. The theory of constraint basically says your result is limited by the weakest link or the bottleneck. So the job transition stages. So you cannot see the room anymore? Are you in now? Okay. So the job transition stages, just as a quick recap, so we have a mental model to talk about. So we increase our experiences and skills. You can take a class, get more certification. Some of it is organic, just because of I've been doing something for a long time, and some of it we can graft. We can quickly pick up some skills about some software by talking to some people or by taking a class in 1 or 2 weeks. Then we go through the resume critiquing and then try to quantify our accomplishments in terms of specifics in the resume, and all of that has been done. And then we get visibility through the search engine optimization, paid websites, LinkedIn, and various stuff to gain visibility. Then we have the phone interviews, and we get screened during those phone interviews. And then we have the in-person interview, which can be a panel, group interview, or one-on-one. Then we go through the process of reference checking. Then we get the job offer. So all of these steps are mechanical. We can overcome mechanical constraints through focus and repetition. Okay, so that's just something we do mechanically. Let's go to slide number 2. So we want to remove the bottleneck. Okay, so we talked about various steps. So when we step harder on the gas, imagine I'm driving a car, but the axle is broken, or the tires are flat. When we continue to press harder on the gas, we are working the overall system at the maximum capacity, even exceeding the threshold of the maximum capacity of the system with our existing constraints. So, people who help us, human resources, recruiters, friends, especially the recruiters, they get paid. Their concern is to make the money for the day so they can go home and pay their mortgage. So they would spend their time on candidates that would get them the money, the initial fee, and also the hourly rate. And they are human beings, so I'm not here to judge them, but that's just the situation. So when I push my system without addressing the bottlenecks, I'm actually stressing the rest of the system. So that much is clear. I wanted to just kind of set the background. So the weakest link is same as having the brake. I want to go faster, I want to have bigger results, but my foot is on the brake, and therefore no matter how hard I push on the gas, I'm just stressing the rest of the system. And at some point the system will begin to break down. People will stop talking to me, they will take me off their list, they just no longer find me appealing because I'm pushing them past their capacity. So we want to strengthen the weakest link. That's the key about removing the bottlenecks. It's very much like how a fox or a mountain lion hunts. A fox is very crafty. You never see it. It's hiding. It's tricky. It looks at the whole situation. It calculates. But when it attacks, it gets the pheasant. It gets the bird. Versus a dog, which could be barking from very far away, scaring away all the potential prey, and they just begin the chase. And the dogs eventually win because they can chase down the prey, and the prey is so exhausted. That's how they get them. It's by brute force. It's not by craft and calculation and looking at the situation. Same thing in martial arts. Some people come up, they go, yeah. But sometimes some people are trained, they make this one move. And that one movement is supposed to produce results. Okay. So when we are addressing our weaknesses, we want to avoid strength surrogates. Yeah, for example, rather than getting better at English and writing, I know Marine Francaise, who's got close friends who are CEOs, they can give me the job. So whenever I need something, I'm just going to go to her. So I'm going to lean on my past connections, I'm going to lean on my daddy's company, I'm going to lean on my whatever, rather than really looking at what can I do to improve. And we often, human tendency is to say, it's her fault, it's his fault, it's everybody else's fault except me. That also is a strength surrogate. Because rather than improving my weakness, I'm pointing out the weaknesses of other people. So if other people are going to end up in trouble, that doesn't really help me, whether I'm in trouble or not. So we got to spend our energy very precisely. Avoid strength surrogates, where we do not want to make excuses for our weaknesses. We don't want to blame other people. Maybe other people are at blame, but spending our energy that way doesn't do anybody any good anyways, especially me, when I'm trying to improve my weakness, because my energy is limited. I don't have so many hours a day to blame other people and also work on myself. So these are general human tendencies. We got to train the mind to avoid, to just dismiss certain noises, certain chatter from the past. So having said that, now our energy is focused on number one, myself. And why? To get money, to get rich, the abundance. First thing I gotta do, I gotta identify my weakest link. Oftentimes my weakest link is not visible to me. Just like if I have some stuff on my face, I can see it, but you can see it. If I have a monkey on my back, on top of my head, I can see it. It's a blind side, but you can see it. Because I see seeing things through my eyeballs, and I can only see it from my perspective. So if I think I'm already very super duper something, but it's all relative. So you want to enroll your trusted friends, kimosabes, to help you to identify your weakest link. And you can also do some introspection, because the job market is always giving us feedback. If Jerry Wang doesn't get any phone calls, if I don't get any interviews, I never have any potential of a full-time position versus a contractor position, permanent position versus contractor. It's because I never look at the permanent positions. I never go to the websites. I just sit home. I rely on the recruiters to find me. So, and therefore I will always be a contractor because of the way I'm doing about it. So there's always feedback. Pay attention to the feedback. Okay. So let's identify a strategy. So once we identify our weakest link, and it should be pretty clear. If I'm not getting phone calls, if I'm not getting to second interviews, if my resume, is not finalized, and it's pretty clear what my weakness is. So we want to identify a strategy to strengthen the weakest link. Okay? Moving on. So let's assume the following scenario. Let's say we ace in exposing our resume via paid job sites. I know you and I don't do that. Let's just assume we did. Our friend, remember when we had workshop with our friend Jean, and he actually paid a website $150, which in turn submitted his resume to, I don't know, 20, 30, 100 some websites. You remember that? That's what I mean, paid job sites. I'm sorry if it's not clear. And let's say we ace the resume quality. Let's say we ace in snagging phone interviews. Let's say we ace the phone interviews. Let's say we ace getting to the in-person interviews. And let's say we ace in interview question preparations. We even have inside information. We even know the people that we're going to interview with. We even know their job titles and what they are looking for, what their culture is like. So we have a lot of inside information and preparation about how they handle conflicts, how they handle process. So we have done all that. I mean, there's really nothing much you can do, because 100% preparation, meaning you cannot do much more than that in terms of preparation, right? And then the rest is, now all we need to do, which is the final step, is to ace the emotional buying decision of the hiring manager to say, amongst these 15 people that I have seen, I'm gonna pick this one. So granted, there is fierce competition, granted. There is, but that's why we have the Tao of job transitions. We're gonna use the universal law. So how do we ace the emotional buying decision? This is somewhat of a recap from the Tao of job transition workshop itself. Create the energy vibration of the interviewers will have towards you. Okay. Life is an indivisible whole, and all the energies that you put out blend together and return to you. So we can just forget about work, home, job search, volunteer work. It's all blends together. It's just one thing called life. Human beings came up with the concept between home and work and this and that and school. And human beings came up with the different conceptualization and segmentation. Whereas life is just a continuous stream of energy. And we call it day, we call it night, we call it spring, we call it summer, we call it noon, we call it afternoon. Those are our names. So let's look at it from the Tao's perspective, from the universal perspective, what is actually happening, right? So life is an indivisible whole. It's very important to focus on that. Why? Because the energy from one department of your life flows back to you from other departments. I'll give you some examples. I can give you examples for the next 5 days. Okay, I'm just going to give you 2 or 3. You and I both worked for Citigroup. I remember once I was in a hurry to come inside CDC, and I put my access card at the main trap, but I didn't have a chance. I didn't wait for the card to be read, and I started to walk through it. So the alarm went off, and the security guard, Scott, he got upset. He goes, "Hey, you should wait." And because I was in a hurry, and because I was uncouth, and because he wasn't my boss, because he wasn't my interviewer, because he wasn't somebody that I thought could do anything to me, so I said, "What's the problem, man? No, what's the big deal?" Blah, blah, blah. So I yelled back at him. And I've known him for 20 years. We have shared food. I've taken him out to eat. Christmas time, I always remembered him. So you take some liberty in a relationship. So I just took off, and I was in a hurry to start my weekend in Las Vegas. Okay. So I drove there with my wife and my daughter. I think my father, my brother, somebody else was there too. I don't remember now. All I remember was I went up and I parked my car at the Mirage, I don't remember where, Circus or Luxor Hotel. I parked my car. It was an outdoor parking lot, and I'm just kind of moving slowly into my spot, and there's a curb kind of a thing that I would stop my tire at. And all of a sudden, I'm about to come off from my car. This guy from the other side of the parking lot, his car is directly in front of my car. He came out. He started yelling at me, jumping up and down, a young kid, short hair, blondish. He was angry, he was yelling. And I'm thinking, what did I do? Did I, bump into his car? Did I threaten his car? I couldn't figure it out. So I just kept quiet and looked at him. And then it dawned on me. That's exactly what I did with Scott, the security guard, when I was at CDC. You can say it's a coincidence, you can say I'm making it up, that's fine. I've been studying energy flows for a good 20-30 years. I've done 10 marathons. This morning I went to Babito. I was studying Aikido with him. Everything is energy. So if you put your hands in front of you, okay, your hands in prayer position, and you push your hands against each other, you notice. So the left hand, you just hold a static position, and the right hand come up and push against the left hand. You notice the left hand pushes back immediately. Did you notice that? Can you try it now? Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, no, it's up to you. It's fine. So that you can try it afterwards. The point is, for every action there is a reaction. We create our own bumpy road. We create our own rough experiences. Okay, good job, good job. So put your left hand in a static position. Don't move, just hold the position, okay? Put your right hand up to it. Now let the right hand push against the left hand. Notice the harder the right hand pushes, the harder the left hand pushes back. That's what you call creating your own bumpy road. If you go up to anybody, if you grab yourself, okay, so let's say your left hand is grabbing your right hand, the left hand holds its position, and if you try to lift your right hand, the harder you try to lift, since the left hand is holding its position, the harder the left hand pushes. You see that? That is a law. That's applicable to everybody and anything. Even a mouse has anger, a dog, another human being. Anytime you push somebody, it pushes back. And the harder you push, the harder it pushes back. Okay? These are universal laws. It doesn't matter. So, when I saw that thing at the parking lot, I go, wow, gee, holy macaroni. And I can give you many other examples. My daughter was young, and I used to take her to the Westside Pavilion. I would pick her up from home. The babysitter, nanny, Vicky, she would go home. I would take her to the bus station, and afterwards I would take my daughter to the mall, and I'll get her a pretzel. She liked pretzels. And again, pretzels. Look at my screen. Can you see my screen? Pretzel. So when I was buying the pretzel, I got into some kind of an argument with the vendor, and I started to yell at him, and he was yelling at me, whatever. So I came out to eat, and you don't believe it. My daughter was on my lap, and I gave her the bagel. Actually, she was walking. She could barely walk. She was holding onto the chair. I gave her the bagel. It was really weird. She took the bagel, she tore it into pieces, and she started to throw them on the ground. And she wasn't angry. It was just a reflection of the energy that I created, that I participated in. And I can give you more examples, okay? You don't have to believe in it, but then you can observe in your own life. If you try to be really nice and very kind, imagine if you are Mother Teresa and you have fallen on hard times. Imagine how many millions of people in the world would reach out to help you. That would be a fact, right? Why would she get this kind of treatment? Because she has helped other people, and we know that. So if you know she needs help, what would we do? We would help her, right? Okay, there you have it. That's the key. Okay, but we have to realize it is impersonal, indiscriminate, and it flows from every part of your life to every other part of your life. That's the key. People don't see that. That's the problem. Okay? Moving on. Any questions so far? Okay. Thank you. Who you are speaks so loudly that I can't hear what you are saying. You know, I can smile all I want, but if I'm basically what should I say, angry, bitter, victimized person, it comes across. People can pick it up very easily, how easily ruffled my feathers are, how easily upset, how stable, how wise, how tough I am. Everybody knows. And this factors into the emotional hiring decision. Okay? So you can smile, but if you feel victimized, fearful, and doubtful, people can pick up that emotion. Okay, here. Yes. Personality is the tip of the iceberg. I can smile, I can be friendly, and the character is the base of the iceberg. There's a difference between personality and character. Okay? So let's move on. We got 2 more slides. So personality versus character. So let's establish one more law. I believe this is a law. And we'll see. Universal messages intensify until we get it. You can see my screen, right? Yeah, I saw it. Universal, I mean, basically the screen is static, so it's really the talk now. A universal messages intensify until we get it. A character, listen to this. A character based on soulfulness, calmness, and wisdom is very attractive to hiring managers. But this is not about personality now. It's not about being glib and being slick, knowing how to, answer the right question, understand the culture, knowing how to investigate, knowing how to, pay money to get exposure. It's beyond that. It is beyond technique. It is beyond personality. We are talking about the character. And character is foundational. It is not what we do. Personality is what we do and how we do it. And character is who we are. And that's why we said the last screen, who we are speaks so eloquently that other people cannot hear anything else. Nothing speaks more eloquently than who you are. When you're around some people, you just sense their goodness or their sadness or their anger. So we're talking about character now. We're not talking about personality. So if we cultivate a character of soulfulness, calmness, and wisdom, whatever that means, and there will be a different class, a different day. Let me know. We can put together some material for that. But so let's make the distinction between personality and character, okay? And personality gets you the interview, but character gets you the job. It's one way to put it. Because at some point it goes beyond the techniques, the interview preparation, the resume preparation. It goes beyond that. It goes into a sense of emotional liking and intuition on the part of the hiring manager based on what they see. So what is our goal? Our goal is to receive 100% respect and reverence during the job interviews and at all times. That's the goal. Okay? That's the goal. That's what we want. We want to establish instant stature. And usually it's by establishing who we are. By being who we are, and then say the right thing, know the right knowledge, have the right attitude. So the ideal, check it out, the ideal, because I cannot do it, and I don't expect that you will be able to do it, is to be 100% respectful to 100% of the people, 100% of the time. But think about it. Okay, we will address that in the next slide. So yes. How do you get? Okay, we will address that maybe towards the end. Let's keep on going. Calmness is the sum total of who you are. Therefore, it's actually simple, yet it's very difficult. So we need to talk about that. So in terms of on the personality side again, say please a lot, say thank you even more, with direct eye contact and big smiles. Especially to those people that we hire When I go to a supermarket checkout line, the cashier at Costco or wherever, Albertsons, the cashier is working for me at that few minutes that I'm there with them, right? So I'm her employer, his employer, and he is my employee in those few seconds, few minutes. So how do I treat these people? Because I'm actually establishing the employer-employee relationship. I'm establishing how I would be treated. For example, I mean, we have a lady coming to our house to help us to clean. And then if I say, oh yeah, you're going to be here until 2 o'clock, you're going to clean 15,000 different things before you can leave. Or I can just say, hey, look, come in, hit the big stuff, and when you're done, you can leave. So she can leave my house after 2 hours. Maybe she does a 70-80% job, or he does. But it's okay, you know, not that big of a deal to me. I make her life easy for her. I give her some freedom. I give her some money, quote unquote, a little bit easy to make. And then I don't do it for that reason, but the consequences would be that's kind of the energy I would receive. And then, you know, the other people that we hire on an ongoing basis, like parking lot attendants, I always, you know, hola senor, good afternoon sir, and I would tip $5 or $10. I would sometimes do something just kind of blow his mind, like that he would say, wow, what the hell happened? I would just go and give whatever. I mean, what's the big deal? $10 for me is, I just eat a little bit less, but for him it may be a big money for his wife and kids. And same thing with waiters and waitresses. I hire them. So, but the thing is, when a person, you know, we are stressed, we are victimized, life has been hard, we don't have too many siblings, don't have too many wonderful cousins and relatives next to me. So, you know, there's loneliness, there's fear, there's bitterness, there's abandonment, there's fear. All of these things are perfect reasons to actually feel angry, or to cultivate a character of unforgiveness or whatever, judgmental, envious. Those are perfectly good reasons to form that kind of a character and that kind of emotion. However, if we do not make a proactive choice, we are actually, creating further negativities for ourselves. That's the problem. So, with the parking lot attendants, supermarket cashiers, waiters and waitresses, taxi drivers, remember, I'm being the boss, I'm being the employer. So I can have the perfect personality skills and techniques for all the interviews. But if I cultivate enough of a sour lemon, mistreating my cashier, mistreating the taxi driver, mistreating the parking lot attendant, and I do it all the time ongoingly, so I'm actually growing a lemon. So my mango never really gets to be that big, you know, and I'm able to do a lot of things, but I'm never able to eat it, but I end up eating the sour lemon. Why? If there is such a thing as a universal law of reaping and sowing, take a look at that. And this may not be a principle, or maybe it is a principle. You know, it's for each person to decide. And the only way to try it is to try it, to play with it, and see what you get, right? Because if it's a principle, then you should be able to have predictable results. So if I begin from today, try to have 100% respect. I'm going to mark on the screen. 100% respect and reverence towards 100% of the people of the time, you know, and then see what I get. I can give it a try. And if I try long enough, it becomes a habit, and then you form a new character, and the personality will flow from that. And I believe, like I said, if Mother Teresa lost her job, I don't think she has to worry about anything. And she is one person. She has she left home when she was 16, 17. She never saw her mom and sister again, even though her mother was sick in Albania. She was not given permission by the government to go back to see her mom. So she never saw them again. So the point I'm trying to make is she was a lonely woman out in the world. That's what she was. And look at what she did. She ended up in over 100 some countries. So it's not about religion. I'm just giving examples which we can use we can quote unquote capitalize upon or exploit for our own benefit. Okay, so why a gem reflects the sun's ray but not a rock? A gem like a jewel, like a ruby. When you hold up a ruby to the sun, whether it's purple, blue, or green, or pink, it reflects the sun's light. And each ruby reflects the sun's ray in different brilliance and different patterns. But they all have their own hue, their own color. But a rock doesn't do that. A rock doesn't do that. Now the question is, yeah, why not? Because, like you said, it's opaque and it obscures the light. So the opaqueness comes from too many things there. Too many judgment, too many trauma. I was injured, I was mean, I'm afraid, it's not gonna work out, it's cold, I'm not educated enough, I don't have enough background, all these things that I wrap around my mind. That's what makes it opaque. So it's not about learning anything new. It's not about adding on something new. My master Babito said to me this morning when I saw him, he goes, Aikido is about simplifying it. It's about letting go. Letting go of your fear. Letting go of your worry. Letting go of predicting the future. Letting go of judgment. Letting go of trying to control other people. Letting go of all these things and just relax. And it works. In the physical realm, I can prove to you that it actually works when you relax and when you do not insist on your own way. You actually can get what you want by doing that physically. Okay. So how do we remove the opaqueness and that obscures our own personal character, our own personal goodness? Because underneath the fear and the anger is the goodness. When the goodness puts on an armor of protection and goes inside the castle, it becomes an ego, it becomes a judgment, it becomes a protective mechanism which doesn't really protect you from evil, but it protects you from it doesn't protect you from evil, but it stops you from getting the goodness in life. So what we think we are putting up to help ourselves actually gets in the way of us getting what we want. That's the problem. I put up all this judgment and all these protective mechanisms and go, yeah, get away from me. What do you want? Blah, blah, blah. I think I'm doing that to protect myself, to keep away harm from me. But actually what I'm doing is I am keeping the goodness from getting to me. So it comes back to boundaries. A boundary. Hi Jojo, I'm here with Marlene from Frances. Say hi.
Hi.
She said hi, how are you? She cannot hear you. You are in my Bluetooth. So she can hear you, only I can hear you. She's darling, she's my little princess. She's the best in the West. For me at least, right? like Marlene Frances is the best in the West for me. I only have one Marlene Frances. Okay, let me close the door. So how do we get away? So the thing is, the boundary is supposed to keep out the bad and keeping the good, and open the gate to let out the bad and letting the good. But what happens is, when we put up this ego and all this fearful stuff, envy, judgment, competitiveness, we actually stop the good from getting to us. So all we need to do is to let go. We need to remove shards of impurities from the mind stream, and we can begin to by applying the ideal to be 100% respectful 100% of the time to 100% of the people. We can start with that, and at this point we are using it as a way to get job offers, but it's basically a universal law of happiness. Okay, the shards of impurities. Imagine I got into a car accident. You can see my desktop, right? You can only see half of it. Can you see number 2? Can you see it now? I mean, I was on number 2. Yeah. Can you see? Oh, you don't see it? A rock is opaque and obscures the light. It is on the top of my screen now. If you don't see it, I mean, I'm scrolling, so you don't see it. Okay, that's fine. I will just read it to you. A rock is opaque and obscures the light. And the next one says, remove shards of impurities from the mind stream. Okay? Now, imagine I got into a car accident and my arm opened up. Okay? My skin came up, my flesh came up. And then and shards of broken glasses from the windshield went inside my arm. Imagine that, okay? And then it heals. Okay? But they didn't remove all the shards of glass. You can see me on the webcam, right? And so it heals, but every time I go to lift something, it hurts. I can never get my full strength back because the shards of glasses are in there, right? So they're going to have to open it up and use the air or the water or use tweezers to find all the shards of glasses and remove them, right? So for that to happen, it's a lot of pain, a lot of difficulties, right? They call that post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Daniel Goleman talks about it, emotional intelligence. So we all have these shards of impurities, shards of trauma, shards of pain, shards of, if you don't cry all your tears, you will never laugh all your laughters. Unexpressed feelings don't die, they come back in uglier ways. Right? And your body never lies. Your body always tells the truth. So the point I'm trying to raise over here is sometimes our characters has all these shards of impurities and trauma embedded in them. And it makes us angry sometimes beyond our own control, our own liking. Because everybody likes to be happy. Nobody likes to be unhappy. So that's why a gem reflects sun's ray but not a rock. When we have too many of these impurities and we become opaque and we no longer have light. So we need to look at what is blocking the light. And it's really a process of letting go. Forgiving, letting go, accepting, understanding, loving, whatever tools that you can have access. That probably can be a different workshop. Just to go into that is a big topic. Healing one's major traumas, and the ultimate state is the calmness you are talking about. The calmness. I cannot be calm when I'm sitting on a needle, on a nail, right? I cannot be calm when I'm really angry. I cannot be calm. So the calmness is here. It's hard to be calm when I got a thumbtack on my neck. It's very difficult. So we're going to remove these shards of impurities. And we know what it is, and otherwise we will tend to take it out on the people around us, such as the supermarket cashiers, as the taxi drivers, or the security guard. Because what do you get when you squeeze an orange? What comes out? Why? Why do you get orange juice? Why does orange juice come out? Because that's what's on the inside. So when somebody bumps into you and anger comes out, or victimization, or unhappiness, or lack of wisdom comes out, why? Because that's what's on the inside, right? So in order to have something new come out, that's why in the previous slide we talked about the soulfulness. Remember? We talked about how attractive we would be when the manager is looking for somebody who is soulful, calm, and all that stuff. Soulfulness, calmness, and wisdom. These things take cultivation, but it's not that difficult. And these are laws of happiness anyways. Okay, moving on to the last slide. Okay. Do you have any questions on the last slide? I mean, on the previous slide? Okay. Sure. So we have law of abundance. Use the law to create abundance to the fullest until it overflows. Okay, so that's the idea. So we invoke the law by our being and our actions. Our beings and our doings. Our being is the character, our doings are the personality traits. So basically we need to invoke the universal law of abundance by being who we are and what we do. And then we use the law of mirror identity to reap. Now, what does this mean? We talked about the mirror identity in the past. The mirror identity is, in front of my daughter, I'm a father. In front of my wife, when I look into her face, I'm a husband. In my mother, my father's faces, I'm a son. So the mirror identity is where I see who I am. Now imagine when people look into my face, the Dalai Lama said, when somebody looks into my face, they know they are good people, that she's a good woman or he is a good man. When somebody looks into my face, he or she knows that he or she is a good person. So when I generate myself as a mirror of kindness and compassion, okay, here's a trick. Listen to this very carefully. I'm giving the identity to everybody who comes across me an experience of kindness, right? So I focus myself on being kind. And then as a result, I'm kind to the waiter, to the security guard, to the supermarket checkout person, to the cashier, to the parking lot attendants, these people that I hire. I become kind for every single one of them. 6, 7, 8 people, for example, in one day. And then it multiplies because I'm good once and I get 7 times goodness back because I shared it with 7 different people. That's how it multiplies, and that's how it overflows. I mean, if you think about it, it's common sense, right? It's a basic logic. It's math. It's arithmetic. So when you generate yourself as truly kind, not about personality, not so they can give you more something, not so they can do something, but you are just genuinely from the bottom of your heart believing the goodness and not just saying it, not forcing, not pushing, having purged yourself, having worked with your own shards of impurities, then to everyone you are processed as kind. And then your harvest logically multiplies. Bravo, Marie Frances. So you share your time, talents, and resources with kindness unconditionally. Because none of this is personal. I mean, the hiring manager, they don't really say, I want to be personal with XYZ today during the interview. The recruiter doesn't say, I'm going to be personal today with this and that. Everybody goes, I want to earn my money today. I want to do my job right. So I don't get fired and lose my house. Everybody has the same concern. So within the system, they say, do you have a ticket on your client's train? If they have a train going somewhere, do you have a ticket on your customer's train? Do you have a ticket on the hiring manager's train? Do you have a ticket on the recruiter's train? And you know what their train is doing. Their train is going to find a way for them to make money. And what can I do to help them to make money? Because if they don't think they can make money with me, they're not going to deal with it. So none of it is personal. whether they are kind to me, whether they are unkind to me. Same thing with the waiter, same thing with the waitress, same thing with the cashier, security guard. They're just being who they are, trying to do their best to make their life. Nobody is trying to be mean to me. Even though I can process them being mean to me and return meanness in kind, but then I just cultivate more opaqueness, more obscurity in my own happiness, which is money, right? And power and freedom and friendship. So they say, cultivate universal kindness and commit not one unwholesome act. And just use some teachings, not because I like that, but I think it's a great example. People say, oh, love your enemy. They didn't say love your enemy because they give you money, they buy you lunch, they give you a car. Not because of that. It says honor your parents. It didn't say honor your parents because they send you to college. It's an unconditional spiritual law. Love your enemy. Because if you slap me, it's bad on you, right? But if I slapping you back, it's bad on who? It's bad on me. So I actually let you control my behavior to harm me, and I don't even like you. Imagine if you are an enemy. And actually I don't really have any enemies. I'm just saying philosophically speaking. So for our own happiness, our own protection, our own abundance, going back to the previous slide, that's why the ideal is to be 100% respectful 100% of the time to 100% of the people, right? That's why it's not about trying to be nice to somebody. It has nothing to do with that. It's about making money. It's about being happy. Okay. And some people say the universal compassion, unconditional compassion, is a wish-fulfilling jewel. If somebody comes up to me and goes, oh yeah, you should have ordered the soup, you should have this and that, they're just saying they should have made another $2. They're afraid their store will shut down. All they're trying to do is to make a living. And I say, oh yeah, I can laugh about it. I can say, oh yeah, but I got to drink. So you keep the energy positive. And again, it's not about right or wrong. It's about getting what we want. Because when a person is acing all of these, you can see my slide, right? I'm back on page 1. Can you see that? If we are acing everything, then we just make sure we focus on one or two more things. We fine tune it, and the mango should fall down and hit you on the head. It should fall down left and right, in and out. Because if I have perfected this, and the experience, the skills, the class, the resume critique, the visibility for the resume, the phone interview, the in-person interview, reference checking, background preparation, cultural investigation, if I have done all of that, just a few more tweaking, the mango should be falling. Otherwise, there are no such thing as universal laws of job transitions. So it's 10:58, almost an hour. I will go ahead and put this into a recording and make it available. Do you have anything else you want to talk about, Maria and Frances, or we're good for today? Fantastic. Okay, Maria and Frances, let me know what the next 1 or 2 topics you want to talk about. This is good. I always enjoy learning and creating new material with you. And do feel free